Hello, everyone. This is Yusuf from ArabsMMA. Today we have a special guest with us all the way from Brazil. Coach Lula, how are you?
Hello, guys. It's a pleasure for me to have been here talking with you. I'm far a little bit,
Yep.
but with the internet we can be closer. And it's a pleasure to talk with you and say everything that you want to know.
Fantastic. Coach, I have to ask you, as a Brazilian, what Anderson Silva yesterday, 2 days ago, what was that? What do you think?
Man, this thing about Anderson shocked, I think, all the world and it's Brazil.
Yeah.
And in Brazil it's the same thing. In all news, in everybody, all the people in our country is talking about that fight. The people sometimes stop me in the middle of the street and say, "Hey, coach, what happened?" I said, "Man, I want to know too." I think Anderson is the best fighter that we ever seen. He's the best. He made a history in UFC, and he knows that he's the best guy. And he started to think that the fight can be easier for him. He never expected that he can be cut. So he made a mistake, and he was knocked out. So, but I think he will return and probably will keep the fight, the belt back.
I think so.
I expect that.
Yeah. So today I was reading that he wants the rematch again. Actually, just an hour ago, it was on MMA Mania. So hopefully they'll make that rematch.
Yes, but at the same time, it's good for the sport and it's good for UFC because when one guy keep with the title for a long time, the viewers start to think, "Oh, this guy is unbeatable." So it's not so good for the show. But now, Vitor is calling for his chance. White man, he has to prove that he's really the guy that deserves to stay with the belt. So Charles Sonnen, of course, will come back. So a lot of fighters will start to call Dana White and say, "Hey, I wanted my chance. I want to be the challenger." So it will be great for the weight class, for the middleweight class, and of course, it will be great for the UFC and for the show and for the MMA.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of MMA, you were, of course, everyone knows you from the show Al Batal over here. In the Middle East. How was your experience on the show? How did that start? How did you get in touch with them? How did it grow?
Yes, I will start to talk about me a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I work with some of the best MMA fighters here in Brazil. I have my gym here. My partner is Rafael Lehara. He was Wanderlei Silva's strength and conditioning coach for 7 years. He lived with Wanderlei in Las Vegas, and so he has a lot of experience. And I know the guys from the ADFC, because I have a friend that is in UAE. He's one of the guys in the project, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu project, and he knows the guys from ADFC, and he was exactly the bridge. He was in the middle, and he said, "Lula, the guys here, they want to make one reality show, and they want a strength and conditioning coach. I will put you in touch with them. Can you talk?" And I said, "Of course I can." And we started to talk. I went only for the first time to go to be the strength and conditioning coach, but at the same time, because my English is better than the other coaches, and I started to be the head coach of the show, and was an amazing experience for me. Not only because the project, but the MMA, I can see with my own eyes, how is the MMA in the Middle East? Because you are starting now. So I think like you are now, when we here in Brazil was like 8-10 years ago. The guys are starting to talk. The guys are starting to improve their techniques. But at the same time, I was very excited because your heart, the Arabic heart, probably is one. Look, I don't know how can I say in English, but I feel good now because it's really to see how is the Arabic spirit, like a warrior spirit. They never give up. And the guys showed me that they want to really improve, that the chance that they got will be huge for them, and they try to do their best. So I was really excited, and I'm very happy to participate of the Al Batal Season 1.
That's awesome. That's very good to hear. It is growing here, like you said, and you actually that wasn't your first time in the Middle East. You came before to help with an MMA show way back when, no?
Yes. No, it wasn't not my first time. I went more like 4 5 years ago. I went to Amman in Jordan, and I was coaching one Brazilian guy, Pedro Galiza. Pedro worked with the Jordan National Army. He was one of the BJJ. I think he was the BJJ coach of the National Army, and I went with him to help in the first or the second. I really don't remember of the Desert Force Championship. So I meet Zaid Mirza. He's a guy that he is here, lived here in my city in Brasilia. I'm talking from Brasilia in Brazil. And I meet Zaid, and I helped him. I was like one of the cornermen. I would put Vaseline in the guys. I worked in the show, helping everything that was happening and outside the cage. I went, me, the referee, Claudio Moreira, and Pedro. We went together, and it was an amazing experience. So that was my first time in the Middle East. And the second one was in January and February for the Al Batal.
Amazing. Well, when you first met the guys on Al Batal and you saw them, did you think, was there one or two people you said, he will make it to the final, he looks good, he's strong, he's your initial gut feeling?
At the first time, the first time that I see the guys, I said, wow, it's a little different. Because the guys, for me, all the guys, they're fighting in not in the correct weight class because they're not too strong. They can fight in the welterweight division, but guys like Adel, he's too short and too thin to fight in the welterweight. He has to fight on lightweight or on 66 kilos. So he's not so strong and he's not so tall to fight on this weight class. So the first time that I said, wow, it's different. Okay, it's normal. But the training session started, and I really remember this scene. 1 week after the training camp started, I was talking with Randy, the HDFC CEO, and I looked at him and I said, hey, do you want to know who will win the show? And he said, of course I want. I said, this guy. And I looked to Tabet, and I said, this guy. And he said, why? And I said, he's the well-rounded fighter. He has good takedowns. He has power in his hands. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is good. So he's the more complete guy that me and Ulysses we are seeing here. So probably he will be the champion. And the show started and we continue training. And Tabet showing one thing for me that is the most important thing. He's really smart.
Yes, yeah.
Because when you go to a reality show like this, you have to know that maybe to go to the final, you have to fight 4 times in 55 days. So Tabet showed me that he was fighting, but at the same time that he was fighting, he was thinking in the next match because he was fighting, preserving himself. Different than George. George goes to a war, like he punched and be punched, so his face was destroyed. So he has to stop training a lot of times because he has a lot of injuries. Tabet, no. Tabet fought, keep training hard, so he made everything correct, and he was really smart, and probably because this, and because all his techniques, he won the show.
Yeah. Something some of the MMA fans here have been saying, Tabet is maybe not the strongest person on the show, but he was definitely the smartest. He always, even in the fight, he would you could see he was always strategizing. Huh? It was.
I remember all the time I was talking to the guys, to be an MMA champion, to be an MMA fighter, doesn't care if you have a lot of muscles or you have to be smart. All the time I was talking to the guys, you have to think and you have to be smart. MMA is not you. What is MMA now? You don't put 2 guys inside one cage and go fight, and they start to punch each other. No, you have to think and you have to make one plan, one strategy. So if I'm fighting against you and you are good in the ground, I have to keep the fighting standing in our feet. Why? Because it will be easier for me. So I have to find a way to make the fight easier. And that was Tabet made. Yeah. He was all the time. He was, for example, against Mustafa, he put the fight in the ground. Against Hisham, he knocked his shot out. So he was like he's a complete fighter. So he can make different kinds of strategies, and will be easier for him.
Yeah. Speaking of which, when he fought Mustafa, you were a bit upset with him after the fight.
Oh yeah, a lot. I was watching the show here on internet and was like, because I was just screaming of both guys. Why?
Yeah.
Something happens that we don't show on TV.
Yeah.
But Tabat, he had a lot of problems to cut his weight for the fight. He threw up. He was sick because I didn't remember the correct weight, but I think he dropped from 81.5 to 77.5. So he lost like 4 kilos in 3-4 hours.
Wow.
So it wasn't easy for him. And when he started to fight against Mustafa, the guys, they were not punching each other. Like, they were punching like kids, like girls, like, and Randy was in my side and said, what the fuck's that?
Yeah.
Like, this shit is fake. They talked at each other before the fight, and Mustafa they talked, hey, Tabat, you win. And after the fight, I went in their direction. I said, what the fuck you did, guys? And Mustafa said, hey, coach, I wasn't here. It was not me that was talking. But I'm the kind of guy that I really want to listen what my fighters, they have to tell me. And I went inside the house and I started to talk with Tabat without camera. And he said, coach, you saw that I had a lot of problems to cut my weight. I was feeling like very, very sick. I saw that I don't have power in my hands. So what I did, I wait. When he gives to me the opportunity to submit or to knock out him, I was waiting for the opportunity. And when he tried to put me down and he gave me his back, I went for the real naked choke and I submitted him. So I won, and I didn't spend my energy and I didn't spend my power. And I respect guys like this because he was not doing what is best for the TV show. He was doing what is best for him to win the show, and that's a start. That's a smart thinking, you know. And I respected him a lot.
That's true. There's also apparently a few other things that they don't show on camera. So the problem between Saif and Mustafa, I was with Saif yesterday for an interview. Started, and it was off camera. It was something that happened in the cage, and then that developed and whatnot. Why do you think Saif fought Mustafa injured?
Well, that's like, you know, like when you were coaching 14 different guys, everything happens. Anything can happen because a lot of guys. Imagine this situation: 14 guys. They don't know each other. They're knowing each other, and they're living in the same house. So you have your life, I have mine, the other one had his. So some problems will start. And I remember that Mustafa and Saif, they fought in the beginning of the show. Or I didn't remember if it was a sparring session or what happened. But Mustafa won, and I think he started to talk, hey, you're a piece of shit, something like that. And Saif was really, really upset. And when he got his chance, he said, okay, I will beat Mustafa. But what was Saif's problem? And I told him about this. All the guys in the house know that he has an injury in his knee. In a kind of reality show like this, if you have one injury, you have to be quiet. Why? Because you have to fight against all the guys. All the guys can be your opponent anytime. So you have to feel your pain, and your pain has to be your pain, not the pain of the other guys. And Saif was talking to everybody, and Mustafa was smart. What Mustafa did, the thing he has to do. Why? Why? Because probably if he didn't kick Saif's knee, probably he will lose because Saif is more complete than him. Saif has good takedowns. He trained with Tabet.
With Tabet,
So
yeah.
they come for combat sambo. So they have good takedowns. They know how to make ground and pound game. So probably he will put Mustafa in the ground, and the fight will be over. What Mustafa did, exactly what he has to do. He was hitting and moving, making and keeping the distance, and he find the distance and start to kick safe knee. Wasn't a smart thing, but at the same time, all the other guys started to look at him like a coward. Not the guys, but the viewers too. But that's MMA. If I know that you have one cut here, I have to punch exactly in your cut. If you don't have an injury, you have to say, hey, I can't fight. But if you go inside the cage with one injury, you have to know that anything can happen and your injury can be seriously.
Yeah.
You know?
It's your weak point, and they know about it, so it becomes tricky. So would you like to see a rematch between them in ADFC?
Oh, of course I want. I really want that ADFC put the guys to fight again, both with no injuries, both training with their original coaches, because they know each other. So I want to see one match like this because one guy here knows everything about the other one. And they have to make one strategy to beat each other. So it will be a nice match for ADFC if they put both guys to fight again.
Yeah, hopefully they can make it happen. What was your fight of the season? Was it maybe one of Tariq's? Was it Saad against George? Was it...
Yeah, Saad against George. Saad's one guy that I have to talk about him because, wow, he impressed me a lot.
Yeah.
Why? Because he had one serious injury.
Yeah.
His feet was big. We had to drop him to the doctor sometimes to take some injections because he was thinking a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But he kept training. I was talking to him. Okay, man, your feet is bad, but you can train boxing. You can train your arms with weights. So let's keep training, because if he stopped to train, his condition will come down, and it will be easier for any fighter to beat him. And I remember exactly one time that I put the guys to run in the desert, and he said to me, "Hey, coach, I will run with the guy." I said, "Man, of course you can't. You have a serious injury, coach. I'm not here to play. That's my dream, and I really want to do that." And say, "Okay, if you want to do that, let's go." And Ulysses was running in his side, and I was in the truck with all the guys. So the truck was going in front and coming back, and I was just screaming, "Come on, Saad, come on. Man, that's your dream." And he started to run fast, and it was amazing, because he showed that he was trying to do their best. And he went inside the cage against George, and everybody would say, "Oh, Saad is fucking he's done." And he gave to us that amazing battle. The guys was a really nice war. One thing that was funny in this fight exactly because the weather wasn't so good, so we put the fight inside the gym. Yes, was closed. So the cage in the gym it's smaller. So the guys was not come on. This is my partner, Rafael Ihara.
Hello, Rafael. Yusuf, how are you?
So I'm sorry.
No,
so
sorry.
the cage was smaller, and the guys were closer.
Yeah.
So it's a good match to both guys start to strike, and it was an amazing fight, and it was great. The other fight that I liked a lot was Hudayfa against Ahmed. I think was great because Ahmed's another guy that surprised me a lot.
I think he surprised a lot of people because when you see him, he doesn't look, especially up against Hudayfa, like he could keep up with the guy. But
exactly, I said at the beginning that 3 guys will be on the final 4: George, Tabet, and Tariq.
Okay,
but I really didn't know who will be the 4th guy. But I never expected that would be Ahmed. But Ahmed, he has an amazing heart, and he's smart.
Yeah.
He knows that his striking game is not so good, so he goes all the time. He never stops to put the guy in the ground, and he beat Choke like this. He beat Hudayfa controlling the first and the third round. So that fight against Hudayfa was amazing too.
Yeah, that's true. So during your training sessions with the guys, who do you think was the laziest in training?
The guys that is lazy. For all the guys,
Yeah,
it's difficult to say because, for example, guys that I coached in the beginning, for example, Nasser, or I didn't know what was the second match. Was Nasser, the first one was Nasser against...
The second was, wait, I wrote these down here somewhere.
Because some guys...
Adil, oh, was it Saeed and
some
Shauqi?
guys, for example, Nasser trained with me like for 2 or 3 days. So I don't have too much contact.
Yeah.
But so it's difficult to say. I like it. All the guys, they try to improve a lot. Hudayfa, it's a really, really tough fighter. And because this, we call him back when he has to pick on a wild card. One thing that was amazing with Hudayfa is because when he lost to Ahmed, he will take the plane 2 days after the match, after the fight. So he stayed in the house outside the camera. And in the other day after his fight, the guys called me because I wasn't living in the same house. I was living in a hotel with the other coaches. And the guys called me and said, "Hey, coach, we want to train because they will have a free day." And I went to the gym with them, and Hudayfa was there. And he trained like one guy that will fight, not like one guy that lost 1 day ago.
Yeah.
He was training like doing 100%. And I look at Ulysse and I said, "Man, look at the heart of this kid. He lost yesterday, and today he's training like this." So this was really impressive for me. And when we had a chance to call one guy back, we said, "Man, that's the guy. Let's bring him back." And we bring him back, and he fought a very close fight against George. He can be one of the guys that can be a star in the Middle East because he's a nice fighter.
He is. He is. Are we going to see you back again soon on season 2? Maybe before that? What's the plan?
Yes, I really don't know yet. We are talking about it. And for the season 1, I went for the project. It was amazing. I think the history will be made because it will be the first MMA reality show in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And now something changes here in my life. My gym is growing. My gym is bigger now. I have more than 600 students here in my gym. And my little daughter is growing up. I have my family. So we are talking about it. We are negotiating. Of course, I want to go to the season 2. But at the same time, it has to be one thing that will be good for me and for my family. Maybe they can go with me. So we are talking about it. They are starting they are thinking that I start to film the season 2 in November and December. So we are talking about it, and let's see. We have a long time in front, so I want to go, but at the same time, we have to talk. And because at the same time, not only about money, but about the show, something has to change for me. Something like, for me, that's my opinion, okay? And I'm really clear. I talk at anything that comes to my mind. And the guys,
they know this.
They know this because sometimes they have little problems. Yeah. But for me, what's an MMA reality show? The viewers want to see guys punching, the guys training. That's it. Yeah. The people don't want to see guys kayaking or driving the cars. So for me, it will be better if we can really put on TV one show that really shows how is the MMA spirit, how is the MMA life. Because it's very hard. The guys train 2 or 3 times every day. Yeah. The guys feel a lot of pain every day. The guys keep training hard with some injuries. So we have to put this on TV. Because if you put on TV only good things, everybody can see and say, "Oh, I want to be an MMA fighter because it's easy and it's not easy." Probably for me, it's the most impressive sport in the world, not only because it's a combat sport, but to be a champion and MMA champion, you have to train a lot, and you have to put all your life outside your training. For example, you don't go out anymore, you can't drink, you can't eat bad things. You have to be not a fighter, but you have to be an athlete, and that's totally different. So I think for the season 1 was amazing, but for season 2 and season 3 and season 4, they have to start to adjust something because it can be better anytime. So we're talking about it, and I really hope that comes to season 2.
We'd love to have you here, and bring the family. You can have Christmas in Dubai. Why not?
Yes, can be. My wife will like this.
There you go. Lula, thank you so much for the interview and your time. We hope to see you on season 2. If not season 2, then in ADFC 4, when hopefully Saif and Mustafa can settle their difference.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I'm talking to the guys, and probably if I don't go to season 2, I will go to ADFC 4, or maybe one time I will go to Desert Force. I'm not here to work. I'm here to work for MMA. I was talking to Randy this all the time. Like my life is MMA now. I have a gym. I have my athletes. I have everything. I spend money from MMA. So I really want that the sport grows in the region, and I want that the people start to respect and start to look to the fighter and say, "Wow, this guy have my respect because he's an MMA fighter, and I'm here to help anything that he wants." Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. That's it's a very noble cause, and it's growing. It's growing. And hopefully it keeps on growing and gets bigger and better, and we have more promotions like ADFC and Desert Force, and we'll see where it goes. Yeah. Yes, and I want to see something for you, because when I was reading the breakdowns here in Brazil, when you start to write the breakdowns for Albatal, because when the show started, they didn't put the episodes on internet. Yeah. And I was thinking, wow, how is it? How the people are thinking about it? And I was looking inside the internet, and I found your website, and I started to read the breakdown. I said, oh, really nice that one website is looking and watching the show. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Anything that you want, I'll be here to help you guys. Thank you, Lula. Really, it's we owe you a lot. So thank you, and let us know. Please let us know if you're coming and when you're coming, and we'd love to arrange for some things, with ArabsMMA and you. Okay, guys. All right, buddy. Take care. Guys, keep running behind our dreams and keep training hard. Will do, buddy. Bye-bye. Have a good day. See you, bro. Ciao, okay. Ciao.